Take a deep breath in. As you breathe in a resourceful feeling of relaxation. And as you exhale, just get a sense that feelings of tension, stress, worries and fears are just leaving your body as you exhale. Notice with your eyes closed, you can be more aware of my words and their meanings. And I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine a vibrant, bright colour, perhaps yellow, orange. And I want this colour to represent resources and relaxation. And imagine that as you breathe in through your nose, this bright, vibrant colour goes in through your nose, fills your lungs with a feeling of resourcefulness. And as you exhale, I want you to notice that the colour that leaves your nose as you breathe outwards is a darker, greyer colour, representing tension, stress, anxiety, anything unuseful, undesirable leaving your body. I want you to consider this a form of emotional transfusion. Imagine that the bright, vibrant colour that you breathe in is giving you the resources and the relaxation you need. And as you breathe out, anything that is unnecessary is leaving your body. And therefore, just by breathing in and breathing out, find yourself becoming more and more relaxed, but also that you're letting go of that tension, stress and worries, and instead feeling more and more resourceful. As your body relaxes, notice that your eyelids are getting heavier and heavier. Jaw is becoming loose. Any tension in your neck and your shoulders, just allow that to melt away. And as it melts away, see the greyness and the darkness leaving your body in that outward breath. As you then take another deep breath in of that vibrant, bright, resourceful relaxation, giving you more of what you need and allowing you to let go of what you don't. Enabling you to go deeper and deeper relaxed as your arms feel limp, loose and heavy. Your eyelids feel so heavy that even if you try to open them, they just feel so tightly shut. Allow your lungs to relax, your stomach to relax, your heart to relax, your diaphragm to relax, and feel that relaxation spreading all the way down into your legs. Tension is required when you're standing or walking. It's not required when you're just relaxing there. So allow that tension to be released. Notice that you can breathe more effortlessly. The deeper you breathe in and out, the more of that resourceful relaxation goes in and more of that tension, stress and anxiety is leaving your body. But I also want you to get a sense that other things are also leaving your body. Insecurities are leaving your body in that outward breath. Old belief systems that aren't even true are leaving your body in that outward breath. Old triggers and old ways of thinking that are just responses to a moment in your life that was unfair and unjust. Allow those triggers to just collapse. And notice that you are allowing new neural pathways to be formed. The belief that you are worthy, that you deserve love unconditionally, that you are good enough, and you have the evidence that you're good enough through what you've done in your career and businesses, as a father. So just anything that isn't those useful, powerful, positive beliefs, just let them go. As you breathe outwards, feel them leave your body. and allow yourself to go deeper and deeper relaxed. As your body relaxes, your imagination becomes more alert, more vivid. And I want you to imagine about maybe a few yards in front of you that you're seeing a giant bubble, maybe 8 foot tall. And I want you to imagine that this bubble is transparent, but also tough. It can't be popped. And this bubble has the ability to go backwards and forwards in time. It's impenetrable by anyone other than you. You're able to walk into the bubble and out of the bubble, but no one else is. And I want you to imagine what it would be like to walk into this 8-foot bubble, hovering off the surface of the floor, and feel that you're now floating in the air. Feel like it's raising upwards, perhaps even leaving where you are right now, going upwards, perhaps even into the sky. And I want you to get a sense that this bubble is taking you backwards in time to a version of you that needs your insight, wisdom, and help. And I want you to imagine that you are invisible inside this bubble. Nobody can even see the bubble except you. And imagine that you're going back in time, all the way back in time to a time where perhaps you were just 6 or 7 years old. And I want you to be there in the room where you observe something happening, perhaps a form of abuse. You are safely in the bubble. You're watching what's happening. And I want you to get a sense of the injustice. Nobody knows that you're there in the corner of that room, watching what's happening. And I want you to see the facial expressions, maybe hear what was said at the time, and notice how vulnerable you are at this age. This isn't a fair fight. This is not deserving of this level of punishment or abuse. And I want you to see how you responded to that. And maybe it lasted a few minutes or maybe longer. And I want you to get a sense that what happened was not right, wasn't acceptable, and certainly was not deserved. And as you see the perpetrator of this abuse leaving the room, and you're confident that you are now alone with that younger version of you, just let me know by nodding your head. Allow the bubble to go to the floor. And I want you to leave the bubble. And I want you to ask this childlike version of you if they're okay. And maybe they're crying, maybe they're upset. And I want you to let them know that you are them from the future. That you've come from the future to help them. And I want you to tell them that what happened was not right. This isn't normal. That this was not deserved. I want you to support this child in any way that feels appropriate. Listening to their side of the story, what happened, how they feel about what's going on. And maybe you help by playing their favorite game with them. Maybe you give them a hug. But let them know that they are loved, that they are worthy, that what's happening here isn't okay. And I want you to give this child some advice, because you know that this is only the start of many other occasions like this. And I want you to give that child some insight based on your years of wisdom that might help that child to get through. And maybe it's telling them when it will end. Maybe there were things that you learned a few years after it started that helped you in some way, that you could help this child earlier in this process. Whatever tips, wisdom, insight you can give to that child. But I also want you to give a resource that you have now in the present that you didn't have back then as a child. Maybe that's self-belief. Maybe that's inner strength. Maybe it's the ability to protect those that you care about. And I want you to imagine a glowing ball of energy in your hands. And imagine giving that ball of energy to that child. It represents a resource that they need more than anything else right now. I want you to tell this child, as the child takes this resource, holds it to its chest near its heart, absorbs that resource, and you now know that that child has that resource that they need. I want you to tell them that they are good enough. Tell them that they are loved and are worthy of love. That they're not the problem. They're just living with a problem. And more importantly, I want you to tell them that they are capable of great things. They will be something in life. They will be successful. They'll be a good father. They will contribute to the world in a positive way. Tell them the characteristics that you know you have, that even in spite of injustice, it doesn't make them bitter, it doesn't make them bad. That they are kind, they are compassionate, they're caring and understanding. And if the child takes these words and is comforted by these words, just let me know by nodding your head. I want you to give something to this child. A symbol perhaps, maybe a stone, a necklace, something that they can hold on to. And I want you to tell them that this will protect them, perhaps not from physical pain, but from emotional pain. And I want you to give them that symbol, whatever it is, and just tell them that so long as they have that near them, that will help them through some of the challenges that they face in the future. I want you to give this child, this vulnerable child, a hug and tell them that you will be there and visit again. Hug the child and then go back into your bubble. And notice the expression on this child's face. Somehow they feel that there is hope. They feel that they are valuable, that they are loved, that they are worthy. And maybe they cried a little less and slept a bit better on that day than they probably would have if you weren't there to give that support. Feel the bubble floating upwards into the sky, and then go forwards in time now to a time when you were perhaps 11 or 12 years old. I want you to be a witness in the bubble to where you're being told that you're too fat. be there in that invisible bubble, just watching as you're taken to a doctor. Maybe see the doctor prescribing some kind of pills or medication and giving them to your mother. And then I want you to be there observing, perhaps in the corner of a kitchen where you're being forced to consume these pills, this medication you don't need and you don't want. And just observe what happens. Notice the expression on that child's face. Know that what's happening here is not right. It's not okay. It's not fair. And observe as you see what happens. And then when you see the child is alone, perhaps in their own room, it's time to leave the bubble. And again, notice how pleased they are to see you. That they're happy that you're there. And maybe they ask you, am I fat? Because they're not sure. And I want you to tell them what you think. You're from the future, you see that child as they are. I want you to let them know that their frame just means that naturally they're going to be bigger. I want you to tell them that they don't need these pills. This has more to do with their mother's insecurities than it has to do with any need. This child wouldn't be familiar with conditions like Munchausen syndrome by proxy, where sometimes parents project illnesses and deficiencies on their child. All this child knows is that they're being told something and they're being forced to do something. And I want you to tell that child that it's not okay and it's not right. I want you to tell this child some of the tips and tactics that you learned to avoid consuming so many of these unnecessary pills. I want you to tell them that irrespective of their body weight, they are valued, they're valuable, they're worthy. And they're destined for great things. Again, I want you to give this child wisdom and advice because you know what happens throughout their teenage years. Let them know that things in the long term are going to be okay. That actually, this adversity that they're going through at some level will make them strong. Tell them not to believe the negative naysayers, telling them that they're not capable. You are them and you're telling them that they are very capable. They're hardworking. All the qualities you know you have within yourself, tell them to this child until they accept that they're true, that they are valuable, they are worthy, and they are loved. And that none of this is their fault. Again, I want you to give this child a resource, whatever resource it needs most at this point. And maybe that's a sense of self, a sense of believing in their true identity no matter what anyone else says. Or maybe it's something else, even more determination, persistence. Whatever it might be, feel yourself giving a glowing ball of energy to this child because that's what they need the most. But But then interestingly, as they take your gift, they have a gift for you. Because there was a quality that you had back at that point in your life that you've lost connection with. And they have it. And just as one candle can light another candle without losing anything itself, this child can give you their resource without diminishing any of their own resource. And I want you to think, what did you have back then that you've lost connection with? And feel this child creating their own ball of glowing energy that represents this resource that you need right now in your present. Feel yourself taking that glowing ball of energy and holding it to your chest, feeling that your body absorbs this resource, the resource that you had back then and you now can reconnect with. You're giving the child hope, but the child is also giving you hope. A new resource, a new lease of life, a new energy that you need more than anything else. And sometimes when memories or thoughts are suppressed, they seep out in untold ways. But this is no longer repressed or hidden. You're helping this child to create new associations, to realize that as bad as things were, things end up okay. You were the light at the end of their tunnel. You are the faith that they need to get through difficult, tough times. I want you to tell this child that you're proud of them. Really proud of them. Because so many children that experience what this child experiences would go on to do bad things, and yet you don't. And therefore they don't. And you're proud of them for that reason. Give them a hug. And tell them that in the end, it's going to be okay. And then climb into your bubble, hover up over your life, and then see how these two interactions with your childhood has changed a course of events, not through your life, but through this alternative timeline created here. Maybe they walked a little taller. Maybe they stuck up for themselves earlier. Maybe they found that inner strength or used that resource you gave them to good ends, to create a different quality of life for their childhood and their future. And then follow that timeline all the way through your teenage years, your adult years, all the way to the present, until you see yourself exactly as you are right now, but still there from that bubble. And realize that all those changes have rippled all the way to the present. That the unresolved issues, at least some of them, have been resolved, and that will in turn have an impact on you in the present. Being able to make better choices. Some of those insecurities will just vanish and disappear, and perhaps new resources will come to fill the void, the vacuum. I want you to see yourself as you saw that child, capable, with such mental toughness to face and go through adversity, as a survivor, not a victim, as someone that still is capable of great things. It's time to leave that bubble and climb inside yourself, but take all of those positive changes with you, allowing you to feel more capable, more resourceful, able to handle more of the demands of your life. Feel that those changes are integrating with the physical body that you're now in, increasing confidence. And at the point where you feel those changes have taken hold, that you've let go of old, untrue beliefs that were never true anyway, and replace them with new beliefs that you are worthy, that you're good enough, that you're capable. When all those changes from the past all the way up to the present have taken hold, let me know by nodding your head. It's now time to awaken you. Feeling fully in the present, take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, get a sense that you're in the physical body that you're in right now, all parts fully in the moment, in the present, as I count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.